This year, we sold our 1998 Jeep Cherokee. We got a new car. It's a hybrid. And I can't get used to it. It does things like you press the gas pedal and it moves. In the Jeep, you would have to press the gas pedal and nothing would happen. And then you'd lift your foot and slowly but firmly press it down again to get the car moving, sometimes more than once. Like the car was saying, are you sure you want to get into this whole motion thing? Because we've got all the time in the world. And this new car, you can barely tell it's moving because it doesn't wheeze and quake and cough. You're just sitting there with your foot on the pedal and the images in the window are gliding by. I think it's a flying car. Welcome to the 21st century. The new car has all manner of spaceship knobs and buttons that can apparently make it warmer or cooler inside. I haven't explored those yet. There's one that makes the seat hot. Why am I so drowsy all of a sudden on the road? Oh, because the chair is warming my buns. And it has a screen that says how many miles you can go on the fuel you've got, whereas the Jeep had a broken dial that would say empty, meaning start looking for a gas station sometime next week. The 1998 Jeep had a lot of problems toward the end. But one thing I never had trouble with was the cassette deck. I could pop in my old copy of Blaze of Glory in January and it would play front to back to front till June, or whenever I decided to switch it out for another cassette. I never get tired of Blaze of Glory. It's John Bon Jovi's concept album about a Roman Catholic cowboy in the Wild West, saddled with guilt for the hearts he broke and the lives he took. It is a rock and roll masterpiece and a theological treatise. The new car does not have a cassette deck, obviously, or even a CD player. It considers them obsolete and it thinks that I'm hopelessly dated too. It wants to be friends with my phone. They're both really smart. Maybe too smart. The car is so smart that it can't do the simplest things, like I press a button to start it, no key in the ignition. And the car and the phone want to, like whatever, braid each other's hair and paint each other's nails like a slumber party. And they want to help me, the old man, pick some music with the best of intentions. They want to share the full scope of global diversity, updated to the minute, with the latest international jazz, pop, rap, rave, plus the full spectrum of chamber concertos, Afro-Celt jams, bagpipe didgeridoo-duets, everything from Mozart to Megan Thee Stallion. Would I like to spend a half an hour looking through every album ever recorded so I can pick the perfect song for my 7-minute drive? Thanks. But could we just resume the album I was playing before? All that stuff sounds great. Viva diversity, something for everyone. But instead of hearing every song in the world once, could I listen to Blaze of Glory for the zillionth time? Oh, and if you're so smart, maybe you can help me with this. My cassette was slightly warped, which added a cool, grungy distortion. Can you do that? No. I see. I see the problem isn't you, it's me. I need to go to the dealership. The car is fine, but I'm an old rust bucket. Can you tune me up, make me new, like a hybrid so I can run partly on batteries? Also, I smoke too much and pass gas sometimes. What can you do about my emissions? Find Deloria, a Native American author and activist, wrote, The 20th century has produced a world of conflicting visions, intense emotions, unpredictable events, and the opportunities for grasping the substance of life have faded as the pace of activity has increased. Electronic media shuffle us through a myriad of experiences which would have baffled earlier generations and seem to produce in us a strange isolation from the reality of human history. Our heroes fade into mere personality. They are consumed and forgotten. And we avidly seek more avenues to express our humanity. Reflection, he writes, is the most difficult of all our activities because we are no longer able to establish relative priorities from the multitude of sensations that engulf us. I find that quote really frightening. He wrote it in the year I was born, 1979. So when he talks about being overwhelmed by electronic media, he means AM/FM radio and a television that had 6 channels. He was already concerned about people losing touch, unable to sort through those signals and think about what's really important in life. And when he said, we avidly seek more avenues to express our humanity, wow, the internet was coming. First into our homes, and then it shrunk down to fit into our pocket. And all day long it buzzes and dings at us. I wear my phone on my belt because I'm a dad. I don't even notice when it's there, but I notice when it's not there. I feel a little buzz at my hip and I reach for it instinctively like a cowboy in a gunfight. But sometimes my fingers just slap my belt. Where's my phone? And what was that buzzing in my hip? All right, that was my biological alarm clock, reminding me it's time to wake up to middle age. Hit snooze and get back to work. Having the whole world in my pocket, voices shouting, headlines in all caps with exclamation points, dramatic updates about what my uncle in California had for breakfast. Everything louder than everything else. News flashes, talking heads, viral videos of ultra-violence in high definition. Ping-pong pundits, and the equation of loudness with truth. Makes it hard to sort out what's really important. It can even make it hard to know what's real. I heard the anti-vaxxers and the pizza vampire hunters teamed up this year. 10 years ago, I had a bumper sticker that said 1984 was a warning, not an instruction manual. But now that's hopelessly out of date. Today, I need a bumper sticker that said Jabberwocky was nonsense, not news. We're drowning in data, blinded in a blizzard of cold, hard factoids. We can't see the forest for the trees. And I gather misinformation is more contagious than COVID. The human mind was not made for this. Ronald Wright wrote, "We are running 21st century software on hardware that was last upgraded 50,000 years ago or more." Our hardware, meaning our physical brains and bodies, have not changed since the Stone Age. Easy example, the human body was built for impact at 6 miles an hour. I walk, I fall down, I get up, I keep walking. But you put the body on wheels, roller skates, bicycle, automobile, and an impact can break us. The human mind can hold an incredible amount of data. This plant is food, that one is poison. I predict a mammoth will come lumbering through this canyon sometime today. But you subscribe to 20 Twitter feeds, and next thing you know, actually I don't know because I've never used Twitter. I hear high-pitched chirping from my kids. The news is always the same. They just want attention. They want it now, and loud is how they think they'll get it. So I'll confess, I've never subscribed to a Twitter feed because it sounds too much like adopting more children. The past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. So runs the famous first line of a book I never read. I still take most of my vacations there. When the kids go to bed and I've done my work, I spend the last 40 minutes of the day in the 1990s. I put on my headphones and I watch Mystery Science Theater or Northern Exposure or Frasier. They make wisecracks. I get the references. I think it's because they make jokes about books and classic films, things I've read or seen or at least heard of. And they talk to each other. I wouldn't watch a modern sitcom. How can you have a comedic situation when 4 people in a room are playing silent scenes on their cell phones with people in other rooms or cities? Or sitcoms for that matter. Like I wouldn't watch the whole cast of Frasier sit in a living room with their cell phones, each watching a different episode of Seinfeld. I watch late 20th century television and I feel like I fit in. I didn't actually fit in at the time. Come to think of it, I spent a lot of the 1990s hiding out in the 1970s, listening to records with my big headphones on. I barely survived the 1990s. It was a decade of suicidal depression. But on the other hand, maybe what kept me alive was being able to talk and laugh with people, take a long walk with someone, and share deep feelings without being interrupted by buzzing updates. Plus, being the fat kid everybody loved to pick on probably would have made me a local YouTube sensation. And that would have been my, what do I say, YouTube? How do you make a funny pun about a life-threatening viral website that sounds like a birth canal? I understand people used to call television the tube because it had tubes in it. I just can't come up with a good pun about YouTube. I'm totally YouTube type. 20th century, as I recall, it was a very hard time for me. I got bullied, but at least I didn't have to live with the shame of being cyberbullied. Wow, the birth of the internet, it was like Christmas for bullies. They must have felt like Adam on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, like switchblade hoodlums who just got the hydrogen bomb for their birthday. Wait a minute, are you telling me with this device I can harass people 24 hours, 7 days a week? I used to get bullied at school 8 hours a day. It was a nightmare. But at least then the bullies had to go home, recharge their bully batteries, get battered by their parents. They didn't send me postcards or messenger pigeons at night. All right, messenger pigeons is a bit before my time, but at least nobody ever got cyberbullied to death with a fax machine, right? And with the internet, bullies could victimize people with no chance of a sudden reprisal. Once this big guy kept shoving me in the high school lunch line. So I threw a cup of fruit cocktail at him. I don't think texting an image of fruit cocktail would have had the same effect. It's a smell thing. He smelled like canned peaches for the rest of the day. You know, the crazy part is the internet was invented by nerds, and they handed this ultimate weapon over to bullies. This spring, I finally came up with the perfect comeback to something the school bully said to me in the early 1990s. I'd say, I can change my haircut, but you'll always look inbred. I win. That's it. Game, set, match. It's over. You know, it's amazing that I bet we all remember the name of our high school bully. I bet I could pass that around. I bet most of us here still remember the name of your high school bully. Yeah, look at that, I know. Because it was a matter of survival in high school. You got to know the bully's name, you got to know when they're coming. And they were sad, and they needed our attention. They still have our attention. We remember them. 25 years later, I remember his name. I tried to look him up on Facebook, for this sermon to see what is he doing now? I couldn't find him. Maybe he was too stupid to use a computer, or maybe he just doesn't have any friends. Last week, I was in the classroom getting my PowerPoint set up, thinking through the lesson plan, the ghost dance, the massacre at Wounded Knee, trying to think of just the right joke to try to get my students' attention. What's the right joke to tell before teaching the massacre at Wounded Knee? I can't remember which one I told. But but I did tell one, and to tell a joke, you've got to start with the punchline and then assemble the joke backwards in your head, remembering all of the referents that lead up and make the last line funny. Anyway, so I had all of this data buzzing through my brain, and I remembered that I didn't have my tie on yet. So I pulled it out of my pocket, put it around my neck, and nothing. Nothing. I couldn't remember how to tie it. I just stood there looking down at the two ends. My brain reached for the information file, couldn't access it. Or maybe the file was so old that it had just recycled itself. Don't worry, my brain assured me. I can lecture on the ghost dance and write a book about Shakespeare. I can figure this out. Nope, nothing. Hadn't I done this hundreds of times before? I'd done it just the previous day without even thinking. Then I remembered. Brain, shut up, back off, and just let the hands do it. And they did. The hands did it perfectly. Except for one moment when they fumbled, because the brain tried to watch. And like employees, under the stern gaze of management, suddenly they just got scared and jittery. And I had to say, brain, back off. So I distracted my mind with a question about the ghost shirt, and the hands, they just finished the job. Sometimes our bodies have the knowledge, and our brains just get in the way. My brain doesn't know how to type. I can look at a word processor screen, imagine letters, and letters appear. My fingers know the way, but if I let my brain look at the keyboard, I get completely lost. My brain doesn't know how to kiss. It doesn't know how to walk a straight line in the hallway or comfort someone when they're feeling down. It thinks it knows everything, but it just ends up brain-splaining. Like upper management, my brain loves to take credit. A lot of our intelligence is in our hearts and in our bellies and in our swimsuit areas, but the brain takes all the credit or gives all the blame when our lower intelligence gets us into trouble. Detectives solve cases with their noses and their bellies. Then the brain shows up in the last scene to give a clever speech and fill out the paperwork. The brain is the last to know when we fall in love. Then it shows up to give a best man or maid of honor speech about how this was the logical choice. It generates justifications for the things we were going to do anyway. When I first met Elizabeth in the summer of 2001, I knew immediately that we were meant to be married. I felt it. I almost proposed the second time that I saw her. But my brain got in the way, and I missed my chance. 4 years later, when at last we were both single at the same time, I finally showed up and asked her to marry me. It was the smartest decision I ever made. Now I let her be the brains of the household. For the next car, Elizabeth wants to go all electric. Like you can plug an extension cord from your basement, plug it into your car. I think it's a great idea. but it makes me uncomfortable. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't like the idea of people walking past our driveway, seeing a house and a car do mommy-daddy things in the open. Look away, children. But Dad, it's natural. I don't know what's natural anymore. It can be hard steering through the media superstorm of the 21st century. We can easily get lost. How can the human hardware adapt to the ever-evolving software of information technology? And can our brains keep all of these news flashes in perspective? I don't know, but maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe the answer is not in my brain. Maybe this is one of those times when I should trust my guts and my heart. Thank you.